Hello. Hello, everybody. It's 9 o'clock. It is 2 hours after my typical live time, but that is okay. Today, I'm sorry, I'm adjusting here. Okay. Today was my youngest kid's birthday, and we had a full day of birthday stuff and did cake and everything. And I just really wasn't able to logistically work out going live at 7. So we're live at 9. So welcome. And I'm glad that you all are here. Those of you, let me fix my hair on camera there. Glad you all are here with me. Thank you. So gosh, what a week it has been. I wonder how everybody is doing with all of these energies, these incoming energies that we're getting. Like supposed to be some pretty big solar flares that are coming in a couple weeks. We pull up the Schumann resonance for you. One day I'll be like super high tech and I'll do like screen share or something, but we'll show you that. Look at that. The very top row here is today. Let's see. So this is most recent here because like this is flipping this around. So this little blast right there is most recent. We have been getting a lot of stuff all freaking week. Look at all of that. Had been quiet. It had been quiet for a while, and now the Schumann resonance is just pulsing. We're getting some, I think, pretty big upgrades a couple times a day, it seems like. And so I've had conversations with people about timeline shifts. And this is probably just absent-mindedness, I guess. But I thought that I had a funny timeline jump a couple of days ago. Evan and I, neither one of us recall or remember doing this, but we thought our orange juice disappeared. I got myself some orange juice, poured a cup, pour a cup, put it in the fridge, right? And then several hours later, Evan goes, "Hey, Mom, I want a cup of orange juice. I'm going to get it." So he goes to get it out of the fridge and there's no orange juice in the fridge. And I was like, what? I mean, we looked everywhere. Like we looked in the fridge, in the freezer, in the cabinets, around the living room. I mean, we looked everywhere. Plus where it should be, which is back in the fridge. And then this morning, I opened the cabinet where our cups are, and the orange juice is just sitting right there. And I'm like, I don't recall doing that. Evan doesn't recall doing that. I'm sure I've needed a cup, for water or whatever over the last couple days in my one little cabinet that my cups are in, but the orange juice is just stuck right in there. It was quite strange. It could have been a weird absent-minded thing. But anyway, funny, perhaps timeline jump. I don't know. But anyway, I did find my orange juice. But I don't know if anything like that is happening in your world, right? If if objects are appearing or disappearing, or conversations, interactions, people are jumbled, or things aren't matching up. You might remember them one way, someone else might remember them another. And it could just be that we are inundated with a lot of information, a lot of just energies that are kind of really swirling about right now. We are busy, we multitask, we absent-mindedly, we're going through the motions of doing something and our mind is somewhere else, right? Like that's all kind of a logical, I guess, explanation for how things could, get lost or show up or whatever. But timeline shifts, skipping from one timeline to the other, or different parallel realities, even running very close, right? Like this, and you kind of step from one into the other, and you might kind of go back and forth. But the idea with timeline shifts, reality shifting, timeline hops, all of that kind of stuff, is that we are shifting to higher vibrational timelines and frequencies. And I mean, I know orange juice, right? Like how magical is that? But it could just be a little signpost of that things are different. So anyway, and I just remembered. Okay, now I'm gonna have to go back through everything because I just was like, wait a minute, because I know for sure looked in that cabinet like over the last couple of days because I got like a little thing of medicine out of the top of that, and I know I would have seen the orange juice, which is right in front of me. So anyway, I'm just trying, it's like I try to be rational and just be like, oh, I must have just absent-mindedly done this, or Evan did, or whatever. Evan's my little guy, my kid, but yeah, pretty sure neither one of us put the orange juice in there in this reality that we remember, or I would have seen it. So anyway, I'm gonna have to go back over my steps and see. But it seems silly and kind of inconsequential, but it's kind of like it's almost like the butterfly effect. If you I think there was a movie, or you think of that concept about just like one little shift or change will have that ripple effect, and will just like could change the totality of your life, right? Your entire life path. And it could seem like things that are so minute, right? But I know myself, I'm personally working on raising my vibration and really trying to be in alignment with my highest good, and maximizing all the experiences that I can have in this lifetime. That's what I came here to do. That I assume, as my vibration, my energy kind of speeds up, and then the energy of the planet and other people around me, and the situations that I'm in, right, and the people that I'm around, that's going to affect my life. So if you're seeing these things happen, you're having jugs of orange juice disappear, or other things maybe that are, more magical or mystical, I think it's going to be like par for the course. So let's talk just for a second about when social media went down. Was that yesterday? I think it was yesterday, right? So FB and IG, Facebook and Instagram went down for a couple of hours, where I was like, my accounts were affected by that. I don't know. I haven't like looked back to see like how many total accounts were affected by the outage, but wasn't that strange? Wasn't that interesting? I wonder how you all felt about that, how you dealt with it, if it felt like, cool, like I don't have to deal with it anymore, or if it was like panic, oh my gosh, what about getting a hold of people that we only have contacts through social media, or how am I going to run my business, or all of these things. We realize when something is completely unavailable or broken or inaccessible for us, even for just a mere couple of hours, how much that, if you use social media, how much your life is intertwined with that, and how much we use it for all kinds of things, right? Now yesterday was, in several states, it was called Super Tuesday. It was a voting day, presidential primary election voting day. Some people say, well, isn't that convenient that social media went down for a bit during kind of a important first election day that's going to determine some things going on in our country later on this year. It could have just been coincidence, right? But anyway, I know for me, I don't use social media personally like a whole lot. I use it more for business. But I still kind of keep up with a lot of people and things, that way. Um, all right. And yes, we've got a comment that, yeah, somebody was like, they thought finally, like, great, like kind of just days before the social media, craze, right? And yes, you're welcome. I'm happy to do these updates. And yeah, like for me, like I'm the type of person that like we had a really big, it wasn't just a snow day a couple of months ago. It was like a snow week. A lot of people were snowed in. Businesses couldn't open. We couldn't leave our houses. Things were just kind of like, well, okay, I'm just here. I just have to be home. And for me, like I always welcome those times. To where I'm just like, regardless if was needed somewhere out in the world, or if I could like, oh, I could go run these errands or whatever. It's like, I absolutely can't. I would have to walk there, which I did actually walk to my store twice when we were snowed in, but I couldn't drive anywhere for almost a week. And so for me, it's almost like, I have an excuse. I have an excuse to not have to go anywhere. And like for the first 3 or 4 days, I was happy being snowed in. It was good. Then it did start getting a little like, oh, I've got to go check on the cats at the store and all of those things. And luckily my house is pretty close to my store location. So Evan and I just bundled up and we walked to what would have been like a 2-minute drive. It was about a 30-minute walk, but it was good for us and it was kind of fun. We did that twice that week. But same thing kind of scenario with Facebook and Instagram being down. It was kind of like, yeah, does that bring up like, cool, now I don't have to deal with this anymore, Or like I said, for some people, especially there are so many businesses, and I do use social media for my businesses a lot. And I don't even like right now like sell anything online. Really. I mean, I sell classes and do RSVPs and stuff, but it's not like my main chunk of my income is coming through um even like with interactions with like I have like hundreds and thousands of followers, and they're not monetized, I guess what I should say. So maybe one day. But yeah, so maybe those people were really freaking out because it's like a major loss of revenue, right? When those platforms are down. But really what it brought to mind for me was okay, so yes, this is a very convenient, helpful tool to use. I know that I'm probably more reliant on it than I should be if I'm almost being like, oh, it like I have so many pictures like stored on social media that I don't have like downloaded anywhere else, or I don't have hard copies of. And so like if my account was like hacked, or if the platform just went away or whatever, like and there was no warning, I would lose some important stuff, that I'm just like, oh, it's there, it's fine, right? Um, and even just like contacts, like those platforms are the ways that I've had some conversations, with business contacts, and I don't have like their other contact info. So it kind of brought to mind to me is like, okay, well, I probably just need to make sure that I have my bases covered with or without social media as kind of being the intermediary. And then also it kind of made me think for a little bit of like, well, it was just Facebook and Instagram, but like my cell phone still worked and the internet, worked. I know that people were going to like other platforms like Twitter or sorry, X, and stuff, and like going, oh, hey, this is down. And, we're going to kind of jump over here and like, powwow over here. But what if we didn't have any of those online resources, platforms, ways of sending information? I mean, just like what if the entire internet went down? I mean, that would affect not just getting a hold of people, but that would affect like our money, like because monies are just like numbers, and you know these numbers that are represent an amount that are sent back and forth or whatever between accounts and banks and this and that. We communicate a lot through email, our cell phones. Like, so there's so much. The internet is truly the web that connects us all, right? And we rely on it so much. And like, wow, what if that went down? And like, yeah, I know a lot of us would be like, cool, back to the olden days, right? But then it's just like, how does the ripple effect of that just like affect just everything that we understand like in our modern world? And it's just amazing to me that like 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago, it was not that. I mean, every moment things become more enmeshed and integrated with online. And I mean, I don't want to be like doomsayer or, doom and gloom or whatever, but do you have a backup plan? Like, do I have a backup plan if I needed to get a hold of someone, or if I needed to ask for help, or I was okay, but I wanted to find a way to help other people who maybe didn't have safety, security, resources, whatever, like, how are we going to get a hold of each other? I mean, is it like sending smoke signals, right? I mean, so I think that it was an interesting, I feel like a preview of, I'm not saying that we're going to go back to like the dark ages. We could, because humans can be super dumb sometimes. But even if it was like temporary stuff, or there was this is as we know it now, there's going to be stuff's like shut off, and then there's going to be something different that we might have to, it might be better. We might have to relearn or kind of figure out that system. But there could be times of no internet, or cell phones not working or whatever. And it's like, so how do we feel connected still? How are we able to be connected, and stay safe and stay in touch with our families or people that rely on us if we don't have this huge tool that we are all so enmeshed with, right? So I'm not telling you what to do, but I know, like, I've had conversations with certain friends and family of, okay, in the scenario of STF, right? No, ST stuff, SHTF, right? Um, what are we going to do? What's the plan? Do we meet somewhere? Do we say, okay, by this day at this time, we say we're going to meet here? Or, how do we find to each other? How do we get to each other? And it's just like the plan that you're supposed to have. You learn about it when you're little. In case of a fire in your home, there needs to be an evacuation plan, and everybody in the home needs to know, like, where you meet, the tree in the yard where everybody meets, and you're accounted for. And if little Timmy isn't there, then there's a problem. We got to go find little Timmy, or send the firefighters in to find little Timmy, right? So it would be probably a good idea to have some kind of a plan, emergency plan, a things aren't as they were plan. And, at least, I mean, that might put you at ease a little bit, but it also would be very helpful, because you can't have that conversation after the stuff hits the fan, or there's a big disaster or whatever. You can't have that conversation. It's too late. So anyway, maybe consider that. Okay. Um, there's a guy that I follow on Instagram. What is his first name? I can't remember his first name, but the name of his channel is Color We Crazy. It was Color Me Crazy, but now it's Color We Crazy. And I think he's great. And he's like, hey there, we're back. We're back after the big blackout, here on Instagram, Facebook. And he was like, y'all, this is the preview. This is a preview that Pluto and Aquarius shift, this is just a little, it could be a test. It could be a, hey, how y'all gonna deal with this? Or how you feeling after just 2 or 3 hours without this, and it's scary, but it's exciting at the same time, because change, revolutionizing how things are done. I mean, this can be completely uncharted waters, and it can be scary, but it's also exciting, because, like, I really feel that as the whole vibration of the planet shifts and ascends, that the lower vibrational stuff, it's like exposed, right? It's like becomes more glaringly obvious. And it might kind of have the drowning man struggle where it's like, oh my God, it seems like things are getting worse. And it is an escalation of maybe that negativity or that shadow side, but it's because it's been revealed. And then once we see it and we identify it, and then, we take care of it, then we can work on, the higher vibrational stuff and kind of moving in that direction. So it's all for good, but there's kind of some wacky stuff that's already coming out that is going to continue to kind of coming of the crevices, that we're going to be like, oh my gosh, there it is, right? So come up with your emergency plan, your what if plan. That's always good. I have been sourcing all of my seeds this week for my garden. I made myself plant all the seeds that I had kind of left over from the last couple growing seasons last year, because like for me, I get very excited for this like spring gardening, and I just want to like get all the seeds and just like dream and all that stuff. And I mean, if you're just ordering like organic, especially non-GMO seeds, and you're ordering like all the stuff for your garden and beyond, I mean, you can spend a little bit of money, right? Which, I mean, I think it's worth spending money on the stuff that is not genetically modified and that's like heirloom and all of that. And we talked about that before, but, I just kind of made myself like, just not keep getting more and then just having more than I need. Okay. So anyway, so I pretty much went through all the seeds that I had, and I didn't really seed save much. I seed saved like some okra, I think some calendula, some moonflower. I didn't save any tomato seeds because they tend to like come up on their own, but so I didn't really do any much like seed saving myself. So I'm like, all right, I'm starting kind of a little bit from scratch this year. So you can see on God, I feel like I'm just saying social media. I'm just recommending that you go on social media. I just feel like it's just coming out of me. Maybe I'm just more aware now. But I did post on Instagram and Facebook a couple of days ago one website that I found where she does like a monthly subscription, and all you do is pretty much just kind of pay the shipping. It's just like it's under $10, like $6.99 or $5.99, something like that. And you get a bunch of free seeds, and there's like herbs and flowers and vegetables and all kinds of stuff. And every month it's different selection of several different ones. And then she does like a additionally, I think it's on it's on, and so it's on my post, and then you'll see it on her social media. But there's like it's 9 o'clock our time, but it's like she's in mountain time, and then she'll do like a drop on her website. Well, she does like a restock, and they're free seeds, and all you do is pay shipping. So I got a bunch of seeds that are coming to me here in the next couple of days, and then I also went to a seed bank that is was a seed library. Sorry, not a seed bank like in Antarctica. It's a seed library that is inside one of our local libraries in Seymour, which is across the county line. And I got like 10 packs of seeds there the other day. You can get a total of 10 packs of seeds each day. So I'll just have to go back in a couple more days and get a few more things that I need. But these are all donated. These are from people who seed save. And even the lady that has like the business where she does like the subscription, and then she also has the seeds that she sends out. A lot of these are donated. She does seed saving. And I mean, this is how we continue to feed ourselves, like regardless if we can go to the grocery store or not. This is how we feed ourselves food that is actually real food. And we plant the seeds that are going to create fruits or veggies or whatever that can also create viable seeds. We need those things because we eat those things, and so that's how we keep that going, right? So yes, it's pretty awesome. I have spent, I mean, probably, let's just say a total of like maybe $25 so far on seeds. And I did actually buy some seeds, like cold weather seeds, because I want to get those out like this week, like lettuce and spinach, some green onions. Is that what I got? Yeah. kale, maybe. So I wanted to get a couple. So I got those at like my local, like Home Depot. But they were the organic non-GMO. So, and then just the postage that I've paid for the other ones. So I'm doing pretty good, and I have quite a few seeds already. And the cool thing is like with some seed packets, you get a lot. Like sometimes there's like hundreds of seeds. Sometimes, like even of like a pack of tomatoes, and you look and you're like, this would make 50 tomato plants. Just the plants, let alone how many tomatoes per plant are you going to get, right? So you can even go in houses with somebody, or you can, each of your friends, you can decide where you want to plant, and you can get the seeds, and then you can split those, you can divvy them up, right? Like you don't have to, plant the whole pack of seeds. Thank you. Thank you for telling me my audio was gone. It looks like my microphone went quiet, but hopefully it came back on. Okay. Thank you for telling me that. Okay, good. um, so hopefully those seeds, even that you buy like this year, if you don't divvy them out to your friends, right? They'll still be good next year, or then possibly even the year after. So anyway, and I'm not sure when the audio went out, and I know when it went back on. So hopefully that was just about seeds. It was about seeds and getting seeds and sharing them with your friends, and planting plants so that you can have good food. So anyway, this has become the prepper episode. So um, okay, let's talk about, gosh, well, eclipse season is getting ready to start. We have a new moon on the 10th in Tennessee Eastern Standard Time. It is on March 10th at 4 a.m. on the dot. The moon will be new, will be exact, on March 10th. And the new moon is depending on if you do Vedic, if you do tropical, we have either new moon in Pisces or Aquarius, okay? The water bear or the two fishies in the water. And then on the full moon, which is later on the month, I think it's the 25th, we have a lunar eclipse. Okay. And you can't have a lunar eclipse when the moon is new because you can't see the moon. You have to have a lunar eclipse when the moon is full, FYI. That's when we see it, right? And then on April 8th, we have a solar eclipse. And so the lunar eclipse, back it up. It's like it will be like 95 or 96% totality, like in East Tennessee. And you can like look it up. You can look at maps. You can put in your town and like how much, or your zip code, and how much totality you will see. But regardless, we're on this rock in space. The moon is one of our, little satellites, and we will be affected energetically by the eclipse, whether or not you can see it. Okay. So same with the solar eclipse in East Tennessee. I think we're going to have 84% totality with the solar eclipse. So we'll see most of it happen. But then if you're a little bit west, it kind of swoops around. But if you're west, north and west and south of where we are in Knoxville, there is a whole swath of the U.S. where there will be a total eclipse viewable. It's not like if we only see 96%, it only eclipses 96%. It's just what we see. But the phenomenon does happen regardless, right? So, yes, we are ushering in eclipse season very, very soon. And I think that there are 2 solar eclipses this year and 3 lunar eclipses, I think is what I read. So eclipses are, as we've been talking about time and timeline hopping, right, at the beginning of this live, eclipses are like fast forwarding through time. I mean, when we watch it, it's like instead of going, well, it takes, 28 or 29 days for a lunar cycle for the moon to go from new, which looks like nothing, to kind of start, waxing full and then to waning. We see it happen, right? Or an example of that within a few hours. And so A solar eclipse is kind of like day to night, right? It's kind of like what that would almost kind of signify. But instead of like a 24-hour cycle, or, we have days that are differing lengths, and then we have, the amount of night that makes your whole 24-hour day. We see that just in a couple of hours with a solar eclipse too. So speaking of timelines, and speaking of the vibration speeding up, and speaking of these shifts and changes, these eclipses are really, really impactful. I mean, humans, since they've been able to like look up at the sky and go, whoa, what is that thing and what's happening? And probably not even with those words, but maybe just grunts and points. Yeah, I mean, eclipses and any kind of astronomical phenomenon has been awe-inspiring, right? But as our consciousness, as a whole planet, and as a collective of people is changing, and we're getting rid of these old patterns, and we're making way for the new, and this Aquarius energy, and it's just new, and it's like uncharted waters, and it's exciting, and it's just like, what can we invent, what can we understand, where how far can our minds and our consciousness kind of reach out, and make new things, right? Experience new things. These things that we have, these eclipses, these shifts, these portals, these vortices, all these things that we experience, we're going to feel them more. They're going to have more of an impact because we're paying attention. We are paying attention. They've been happening for millennia, but collectively, we're all connected. We are all like mushrooms. We're all like fungi, and when your consciousness, your awareness, your vibration goes up, everyone you're connected to, it helps raise our vibration as well. And as we're all doing this work, it's exponentially affecting everyone around you, affecting the planet, and affecting reality, because like there's our planet, but like what else is going on out there, right? Lots of stuff. So, yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty exciting to me. But it can be exhausting if all you're doing is just feel like you're just caught up in the whirlwind of all of this, what may feel like chaos, all the change, all the different energy that you're not used to, right? You might not feel grounded. Um, and as humans, we chose to even be a human during this time in this experience. A lot of people believe there was some choice involved, right? You might have not known all the details, all of the nuances of how you were going to have these experiences and learn these lessons, but yeah, you dialed in and you came here. And so grounding is, we're manifested in the physical, and the earth we experience as physical, and we need to be in our energy needs to be in harmony with the energy of the earth. And whether it's taking your shoes off and walking around barefoot on the grass, it's hugging a tree, it's using your visualization to maneuver your energy down into the earth, to not only kind of plug in and be anchored, but then also to be able to pull up that harmonizing, balancing energy. Like, you may feel that you need to do that more often, more intentionally, as all this stuff kind of, here, like going, blowing around, on the wind, is you're paying attention to it more, right? And that's just like good practice, and that is a good practice to have, is grounding and anchoring. And I'm doing like a whole chakra series, an immersion series, at the community space. And we started with the Earth Star chakra this past Sunday. We're doing root chakra this Sunday. So we're getting good and grounded right now. And I'm actually starting a group guided meditation on Thursday nights as well. So if you're local and you want to come to that, that is happening on Thursday nights at 7. But I'm going to be recording those and putting those on my Patreon as well, for members. So anyway, there's always lots of good grounding stuff in those meditations. That's why I thought to mention that as well. Also just a little self-promotion. But so anyway, new moon coming first, then the full moon, and then we will have the solar eclipse. Oh, and the cool thing too, with the new moon on the 10th, and I'm sorry if I'm just like boink, boink, boink. But anyway, that's how it's coming to me, this information. But daylight savings time is also when we have the new moon on the 10th. So our time on our clocks will also jump ahead an hour, which I'm finding this funny at this point. I'm just finding it funny that we see, time. And I kind of talked about this a lot during last week's live. Time, is time really real? What is time? We say it is real and I'll be here at this time and all this stuff. And, then we're talking, last week and then this week about timeline shifts. And we're talking about eclipses. And that seems like time's moving faster. And I'm like, oh, and then we're just going to be like, oh, it's just 2:00 in the morning. Well, just kidding. It's now immediately 3:00 in the morning, because I think daylight savings time is like that. It's like, because it's not based on Eastern Standard Time. It's based on Greenwich, whatever, it's based on that. So like, I think that when the time change is over, it's not at midnight. I think it's a couple hours after, if I recall. So there's lots of time shifts, and I just think it's kind of funny at this point, So like, yes, like I have an appointment tomorrow, a Reiki appointment at 11:00. And even though I'm like, time, whatever is it, like I will be there at 11, right? But wouldn't it be weird if like our clocks didn't, like our power went out and our cell phones went out and like we had no way to know what time it was? And then it was just, well, the sun came up at this time or around this whatever. And it's like our biorhythms would shift and we would start probably going to bed-ish, like when after, it gets dark and we kind of winding down. And then, when the sun starts coming up, we just start waking up and that's how we'd start our day. But it would shift. It would shift as, the days get longer and the sun starts coming up earlier and then it starts setting later. Like, isn't that beautiful to kind of think about how we as parts of nature, as animals that are really affected by things like sunlight and length of the day, how we would just kind of ebb and flow with that instead of, well, it's 6:00, so I have to get up regardless of where the sun is, or how my body really feels, right? I mean, melatonin that our body produces is triggered by absence of light, and then our body's like, oh, cool, it's dark. I'm going to start putting out the sleepy stuff so I can go to sleep, right? That's why you're not supposed to be on your phone and stuff, like when you're laying in bed, because it's that light and you're not getting the melatonin trigger like you need to go to sleep. So to me, the synopsis is that it is super cool that we are stepping into these advanced potentials. I mean, technology, invention, space stuff, aliens, innovation, science, all of that stuff with the Aquarius energy is super exciting. But it's like also so many of us are increasingly aware that we are just unavoidably connected. We are part of nature. We are part of this natural world. We are like little mushrooms or little plants or animals, and we're fighting the rhythm instead of being part of it, or our quote unquote modern world might have us fighting it. And so many of us are being called to immerse ourselves more into those natural rhythms, and living closer to the earth. And to me though, it's just like, it feels like it's this really interesting fusion that we're being called to. So it is the duality that we experience on earth. It is the duality of this kind of expanded, higher minded, innovative energy, but then also saying that is not better than this deep rooted rhythm based existence as well, and really integrating the two, and not saying that, you have to be living in the dirt all the time, although that sounds lovely, honestly, a lot of the time. That you don't have to do that and shun all of this innovation and this expanded. So much enlightenment, comes from that energy. But it's also saying to be in that expanded, innovative, technology driven energy, that you can't just be all in that, because you're still a human, because you're still an animal too, right? So it's an integration of the both. And it's saying, like, maybe take like best of both worlds, or how can they kind of work together? Because we oh my God. Here we go. I'm just like, preach it. Yes, the human experience has like an infinite number of potentials. I mean, there are so many things that we could experience, uncountable. But I do not believe that we came here on earth in this reality to experience our reality completely detached from that reality, from the physical reality, from eating and breathing and, you know, uh, procreation, or growing our food, or um, honoring all the cycles of life, death. Um, all of those things, we didn't come here to be humans to go, oh no, I'm so beyond that. I'm just going to, try to detach myself from that reality so much so that I'm in this generated reality that is just like fantastic or perfect, or, whatever. Like, that's so weird to me. That is so weird to me. And I know that in certain ways, that technology and, like, speaking of like AI and all that kind of stuff, like, there's some amazing positive potentials in that. But to have the pendulum swing all in that camp, and to say, yeah, being human and being animal and being connected to nature is just like, beneath me, right? Like, that's not the human experience. And humans we are spirit, we are source, we are energy, we are also tangible earth, physical, and we are like, it meets at our heart. That's who we are. That's what we are. That is how we're able to experience all of the things in our lifetime that we came here to do. So, yeah, we have to integrate both of those energies. And sometimes it's like immersing ourselves in more of the natural physical world. Oh, there's almost like a recharge, right? It's like that grounding into that. And then kind of like going and exploring and seeing all the fantastic, what can we dream up? What can we imagine, and come up with? But we can't really, where we are now, we can't spend all of our energy and time and focus really completely in one camp or the other, and really be in the vibration that we need to be in now, but like where everybody is going, if that makes sense. So anyway, I'm just trying to be I don't want to say evolved human, but I'm just trying to be human. I am just trying to be human. Yep, that's what I'm doing. Okay, is there anything else that I wanted to talk about? I don't think so. Is there anything you want me to talk about? Any questions? Okay. So I'll just say this. And I'll probably start saying it more. And I have said it before. And it's kind of been like not a joke, not really tongue in cheek, but I've kind of said it and it's just been like, whatever. But if they're tarot for the election season, oh shit. Tarot for the election season. I think it's gonna be nuts, is what I think. I do not have my cards, my tarot cards, right here next to me. I'm sure I will start doing. I mean, I am curious as curious as you are. I will start doing more readings. Intuitively, I have these cards. I'm going to pull a couple of these cards since you asked. Okay. But intuitively, I think we're just gonna I think that we're gonna have there's gonna be a lot of like diversionary tactics, smoke and mirrors type stuff. Like there isn't already stuff like that going on, but I think there's going to be more of that. And people are gonna be like either just totally disenchanted with the situation and just be like, why bother? And then other people are just going to be like, oh my God, the sky is falling. This is awful. We as humans all kind of react to things being a little crazy. We react in different ways. I intuitively feel there will be unrest, but I mean, I think that people are going to start kind of freaking out and getting mad and getting upset. And I don't know if they're rioting or protesting or things like that, but there's going to be some of that this year for sure, related to politics and then all the crap attached to politics. But let me just pull a couple of these. These are not very specific cards. These are the be all cards that give us some kind of like mantras to maybe focus on. So let me pull one. So not tarot, but oracle for the election season, because Christopher Scott has asked about that. And then we'll dig more into that with tarot and other recordings. Okay. Oh, I didn't tell you what I was going to tell you. Okay. I'm going to tell you that now, and then I'll pull a card because I'm shuffling. So if there was a scenario, if there was a natural disaster, or if there was a SHTF, if I can get my letters right, type scenario, societal breakdown, or our cell phones or internet don't work, whatever it is. And you're like, holy crap, I think I need to connect with some people because we might need to trade beans for rice. Okay, what day are we going to pick? I don't know. What if we lose track of the days? Just have a paper calendar to where you know what day it is. And let's say on Wednesday, not at 7 because it might be dark, but on Wednesday at noon, at high noon on Wednesday, we will meet at the community space. For those of you who can get there, and we can try to get a plan together. Wednesday at high noon. Okay. Any Wednesday that falls in that time span. We'll try to have some fresh water or something. And I mean that. That was one of the reasons I opened the community space in the back of my mind. If we needed a place to meet and get a plan together, well, heck, I don't want people coming in my house. I mean, I love you all, but not that much, right? Plus, my house is kind of small. But the community space, high noon on Wednesday. Have a paper calendar so you know what day it is. Okay. Survival dirt bikes. I do have a grounding on this channel at like the very bottom of my videos because I posted it a long time ago. I have a grounding meditation that's really short that may be helpful for you to listen to as well. Okay. And I do have some other guided meditations. I always include grounding in that, but there's just a grounding visualization on there. All right. So be guided and related to tarot for the election season, please. Be guided. Trust, believe, and allow divine intervention to guide your life. It's just saying it's in the Lord's hands. Let me see what else. Let me see what else we get. Oh my gosh. Y'all, I am actually like this feeds me. This is so good for me to do this. I was so freaking exhausted after my day. Like I mentioned, this was my youngest child's birthday today, and we spent 5 hours at main event. I was actually kind of fine when I was there. But as soon as I left and I got home, I was like, holy crap, I'm exhausted. I mean, just bells and whistles and noise and kids and lights and all the things for 5 hours. I was so exhausted. All of my energy was drained from my body. But I feel better now. All right, so let me see. Election. I'm sorry. I'm not looking at them. Election insight thus far. I feel like who knows what's going to happen. There's so many things that could happen. Jumping stuff. Wow. Be found. Be secure in who you are, made in the image of the Creator's eye. Be guided, be found. That's interesting. Follow your heart. Let's pull one more. Sorry, divination. We got to get creative when we're using stuff like this. It's not as exact as tarot. We'll try to piece it together. Be accepted. Be accepted. Stand in your God-given, universe-given birthright to live a full and abundant life. So we have, oh my gosh, these are all green as well. Are they all green? No, they're not. There's different colors. There's different colors with these. Like some of the cards have like a red or like blue. These are all green, just so you know. Be found, be guided, and be accepted. I'm saying follow your heart. Follow your heart. Let me just say this. This would be my intuitive interpretation of these cards in relation to the question about this election season. Political parties at this point are bullcrap. I mean, I'm not saying you're bullcrap. I'm just saying you could say you are a Democrat or Republican or libertarian or you're an anarchist. That's not really a political party. Or whatever. Okay. And honestly, the current platforms of the main political parties are such a departure from what the names of those parties, like what they actually had as their beliefs, practices, platforms, whatever, like 100 years ago. So it's all wacky. Why don't you think for a moment about like what is really most important to you if we're talking about politics, okay? So many people, and I'm not judging or anything, but I'm just saying that I'm just seeing this out in the wild. So many people I feel very, very passionate about very specific issues, more like social issues, which I'm not saying they're not important, but they get really, really attached to those and they vote because of those very specific issues. So if they're like, my camp or this party says, we're in agreement on that, well, I'm just voting for them because they got my back on that. But they're not actually, the voter is not actually considering maybe all the things that party is this on their platform, what they represent, whether it's large government, small government, whatever, which is kind of a big difference between the parties, in a way. So, I'm not saying that those very specific issues or causes are not important, but it's almost like those really like button pushing issues have really been like talked about a lot and like really brought up. So people get like really fired up and really upset or really offended or really, really passionate about those issues. And then they're not paying attention to the other things that are kind of attached to that. It's like in, they're like passing bills and legislation and shit. And they're like, oh, there's this, thing that we're passing. And then there's all these other things that they're passing with it. And you're like, fuck, sorry, sorry, YouTube. I wouldn't have we're not voting on it, but our representatives are. And it's like, they're voting on it. And then all this other stuff that maybe is, oops, sorry, my mic just went out. I think it came back on. Is like almost like completely like going against what that other first thing was. It's sneaky, and it's just how it works. So anyway, that's to say, follow your heart truly by like what is right to you, but don't get like laser focused on like one issue that is honestly being blown up to get you all upset about and like, yeah, screw those other guys. I'm just going to do this. And then you miss all the other things that come along with that. I think, and it's just me, but I think like some of the really, really important things to consider are how much autonomy and freedom and individuality we have as like citizens of our country. How many like freedoms and rights we have. And I know there's a lot of stuff attached to that, like so many things. But anyway, it's really complicated, and really the two-party system is dumb, and they're probably all part of the same camp anyway. But, you know, I know it seems like a lost, I mean, it kind of seems like a lost cause to me, as far as it is set up now. So I'm kind of like, revolutionize the whole thing personally. But I think that if you truly follow your heart, like what feels truly right to you, what you came here to experience as a human, and which person representing their platform that they may or may not stick to when they actually are elected. But if what they're saying that they believe in and that they're going to put into practice really resonates with why you came here to like live your life, go with that. I mean, I think it's dumb that it's like, oh, I have to vote this party or this party. I can't just be like, well, I actually kind of like this person here. And, you know, I like this, what this person really has to say here, you know. And I think it's really dumb that it's really just like Republicans or Democrats, and there's all these independents and libertarians and like everything else. And then, you know, they don't ever get a chance, right? So I think that right now, I think a lot of people are pretty much just upset with any of our presidential options. It's like maybe some people are like lesser of two evils. I don't know, you know, what people are thinking. I mean, okay, let me look at these cards. Be found, be guided, be accepted. I really feel that grassroots is where it's at. Grassroots, being more passionately involved in your local my cat is smelling my microphone. I don't know if you heard her like sniffing in my microphone. Being more involved in like you're on the local scene, you know, and like that doesn't even have to necessarily be politics. It can be just I mean, it can be activism, it can be like community garden, it can be like, hey, we've got each other's back if, you know, stuff happens. It's working together as a community, regardless of how we're told we're supposed to be. That's like really what's real. And I'm like, yeah, soapbox. And the crazy thing is too, is like, you know, if we actually just kind of put our heads together, I was going to say organized, but I don't want to be like I don't want to be flagged for like, you know, I don't know, calling people to action. But if we put our heads together and our hearts together, we could get a lot of stuff accomplished. But the thing is that people are pretty much just too much infighting going on about stuff that it's just like, really, that's just somebody's business. That's your business. That's my business. We're not going to worry about that, but let's like work together for like good, like a healthy infrastructure, or, you know, actual causes or systems that help keep people like healthy and grounded and evolving, right? But the thing is that because we're humans, and then like we get so trapped in our ego, we disagree on like what's best. And we're too busy telling other people how to live instead of actually living our life how we're supposed to live it. So like bring it back to you, bring it back to yourself, live an exemplary life, be human, right? Be a good human. Navigate from your heart, raise your kids that way, align with people in friendships and relationships that vibe with that, and you're networked. And then you start making those waves. And then politics are just dumb, because politics right now, as they are just like telling us how we're supposed to be and how we're supposed to be living our lives, because apparently we can't figure it out ourselves. We don't know how to behave ourselves. So, Julie, yes. Yeah, the parties did flip a long time ago. So it's kind of like what you would say is like, Republicans are conservative and Democrats are like liberal, and like I don't know. I want to say it's not 100 years ago, but like maybe, yeah, they used to be like the opposite. And then somehow now it's like this way. And yeah, okay. And I'm glad you said that, Julie, because yes, that is true. Thank you for saying that they did flip, because yes, that's what I was saying and feeling. I don't have an exact date for you, but I'm sure Wikipedia does right now, but if that's accurate. Our government, politicians, representatives, and like professionals like doctors, attorneys, anything. Okay. These are people that we elect or that are elected, like in politics, or maybe if some people are appointed, or if it's a doctor, they've gone to medical school, and then they have an office, and we go there for professional services. But all these people work for you. Okay, you hire them, or you put them in that position. If it's politics, right? Or you are making a choice to go to a doctor and you're hiring them to help you because they're a pro at medical stuff. If it's a doctor and you're like, hey, I got this issue, right? And in politics, you're like, hey, we've chosen to have you there to kind of speak for us and to kind of help put this stuff in play, but you represent us. But so it's so backwards. So many people feel like, oh, like we gotta listen to what they say. They're in charge. No, they freaking work for us. They work for us. And the same thing with a doctor. Like I tell people all the time, like if you go to a doctor, you are hiring a professional to help you with a specific issue that they're supposed to like know about. And if they give you really crappy advice because they don't actually know what they're talking about, or they're a dick, like get a second opinion, because you are hiring them to help you. Right? You don't have to be like, well, the doctor said, and so I just have to do it, but I don't really feel right about doing this. Why would you do that? You have hired a professional to help you, right? And I'm not saying to like never trust their advice, but I'm saying if something feels really, really off or wrong, or you're treated poorly, freaking get a second opinion and say, I'm not gonna pay you and then just do this because you told me to, because I kind of know maybe what feels right to me. So anyway, that is to all say, we need to empower ourselves as individuals to trust that heart-centered navigation. And if you're like, dude, I don't know what that is, you're like, I don't even know where to start meditating, start going outside more, grow some food, see things from seed to sprout to producing something, see that whole cycle and connect with that, because that's what this is, and when we get so disconnected from that, and sometimes we get lazy, sometimes we're like, I just want to sit here on the couch and just watch this, I don't know, Netflix or the news. Oh my God. Or like whatever, play this game on my phone. And I just don't want to deal. I can't deal with all this stuff. And I'm just going to let somebody else deal with that stuff. Well, you know where that gets us? That gets us kind of in this mess that we're in right now, where there's all kinds of crap going on that's really big and has really, really big effects on all of us. And we're just like, how the hell did it get here? Well, it's because we kind of got a little complacent and lazy, but we were also told that we didn't need to worry about it, that they had it under control too, right? So anyway, be empowered, be heart-centered. I think it is going to be a bumpy ride this year. Pay attention to what's really, really serious and real, as much as you can determine is real. And like a lot of stuff, just be like, I'm going to put my attention elsewhere where it actually really matters. So anyway, yeah. That's how I feel about that, and I'm glad to see some of y'all are kind of on the same wavelength, right? So yeah. Um, I appreciate all of you hanging out with me this evening. And for those of you that are watching this as a replay instead of a live, thanks for tuning in. And I've managed to yap away for over an hour. And thanks for hanging out with me kind of late here tonight. I don't know, maybe this was a better time for everybody, 9 o'clock. I don't know. I was always doing 7. I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments if 9 o'clock would be a better time. I don't know. So, anyway, I hope y'all have a good evening and prepare for your new moon, okay? And for this eclipse season coming, and hold on to your hats. All right. So, as of right now, I'll see you next Wednesday at 7. If anything changes, I will put it on social media unless it crashes again. Okay. Yeah. Thanks, you all. Have a good night. Bye bye.